Okay, so we are doing 2019 business plans. Thank you everybody for coming, I appreciate it. I teach business planning in Success Start every 2 months. This will be fairly similar to what I do in there. We've added a couple of things, but I want to start by just kind of laying a little bit of foundation for business planning and maybe a little bit of foundation work for you personally, okay? As far as what's important to you and what you might want to be doing in 2019 that you haven't been doing in 2018 or that you have been doing but maybe not enough that might fit with you. So what I'd like to do is grab a pen and paper, something you can write on, just to scratch something. And for those of you that have gone through this exercise, don't ruin it. No, I'm just kidding. There are, in real estate, if real estate was made up of 5 components, okay? To be a real estate agent, to be a realtor, you had to, really there were 5 components. And if you're really good at one, and you're pretty good at another, and you're okay at this one here, the 3rd one, and you're passable at the 4th, but that 5th one you really struggle with. What is it that you should be spending your time on in the coming year? If you know that real estate takes these 5 components, where do you spend your time?
On the top 3?
On the top 3, the 5th one, right? As Americans, we're actually worse than anybody in the entire world, but the rest of the world's not that far behind us. We have a feeling that if we're really bad at something, we need to spend our time on that, right? We need to get better at the thing that we're bad at, of course, because we're already good at this, and we're good at this, and we're good at this. But it's that last thing that we really need the feeling of getting better at. But the problem is that you don't want to do that. Why? Why do you not want to spend a lot of your time, or the majority of your time, working on the thing that you're not good at?
Not good at it, you don't like
it. Out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, there's generally reasons for things that we're not good at, right? There's generally a reason that we are not really good at this thing here, right? Or we struggle at this thing. It might be because we're not confident in that. It might be because we don't like that. It might be because our brain isn't really wired that way, right? There are people that are creative, there are people that are not. My wife is creative, I am not. Right? So if I knew that in my profession, the thing that I was the least good at was drawing, right? I don't care how much time I put into it, I will never be good at that, right? And so as you're working on your business plan for 2019, and as we're working towards trying to figure out, hey, where do I want to put my time into? What do I want to do to really be successful going into the next year? I really recommend that you think about what are you good at, and let's double down on that, right? Take the things you're good at and excel even further, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, what is a business plan? What's the point? Why do we do a business plan? Why does a business plan have any value at all?
Keep you on track.
To keep you on track, right? What is it? At its core, what's a business plan?
A roadmap.
A roadmap, yeah, 100%, absolutely. It's a roadmap, right? So we're here right now, and we want to get over here by the end of the year, whatever over here looks like for you individually, right? So we're kind of trying to go on a roadmap from where we are now to X marks the spot, where we're going, right? Okay, kind of hard to do that if we don't have a game plan or know what it is that we want to do to get there. I'm going to show you a short film right now that talks a little bit about goal setting and planning and things of that nature. I think it's really relevant, and so I'm going to hit play on now, the lights here, and we'll watch that and talk on that.
Hi everyone. My name's Jay, welcome to Invisible World. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, all the messages, all the comments and all the love. I genuinely appreciate all your interaction. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a how-to video. These videos are practical tips that will help you apply the themes and the topics that I talk about in all of my videos. The first video that I made was called 3 Motivational Messages That Will Transform Your 2016. I wanted to share with you a video on how to set effective goals that you will surely accomplish. In 1979, interviewers asked the Harvard MBA program how many of them set goals. They found that 84% of the program set no goals at all, 13% of them set goals but they weren't committed on paper, and only 3% actually set goals that were committed on paper and had plans to accomplish them. 10 years on, in 1989, they interviewed the same individuals again. The results were absolutely staggering. They found that those 13% who set some goals but hadn't had them down on paper were making twice as much as the 84% who had never set a goal. And even more staggering was the fact that the 3% who had committed goals written on paper had actually been making more money than the 97% put together. Today's session is all about how you can make those goals. I'm going to share with you 3 questions that will help you reflect on the goals that maybe you've already set for the new year, or maybe goals that you're about to set. The first question you need to ask yourself is, are your goals too vague and are they not specific enough? The reason why I ask this is because maybe one of your goals is to get fit. Now when you say that, do you mean as fit as a model? Do you mean as fit as Cristiano Ronaldo? Do you mean as fit as an athlete? How do you define fit? Or is it just fit enough to walk up your stairs without feeling tired? Becoming more specific about the goals you want to achieve means that you're more likely to understand how much planning is involved in terms of time and resources and how you're going to make it fit into your incredibly busy week. Try to make your goals as specific as possible. The second question you need to ask yourself is, are your goals too grand to be achievable? Now, I'm a big believer in defining your destiny and reaching and accomplishing your goals, but Bill Gates said a fantastic piece of wisdom that I want to share with you. He said that actually people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. We always feel that we can make a bigger change quickly by impulsively acting rather than building blocks that will actually be great foundations for future success. What you need to do this year is actually try and find digestible blocks of work, little pieces of action that will help you effectively bring about change in small areas of your life. When these add up and build together, you'll gain momentum and that will affect things in the future for you as well. The third question you need to ask yourself is, are you surrounded by the right people and are you influenced by the right people? If, for example, your goal is to give up chocolate, it won't help if you work at a chocolate factory, you live next to a chocolate manufacturer, your best friend loves chocolate and you're making chocolate cake on the weekends. It's just not going to be possible. You need to be spending time with people who have the same goal, but also people who've achieved that goal and made it into a habit. Are you aware of the little milestones that you need to reach to incentivize you daily? We need to feel inspired by our goals every day, and if you're feeling that your goal is too far away or a tangible outcome is in too far a distance, you need to make it closer. You need to be noticing and observing the small things, the small changes that you can be grateful for that you see every single day or every single week. Make sure you know your milestones, otherwise you're going to get lost. A goal without a plan is just a wish, and Tony Robbins said that setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible, and therefore you really need to write your goals down. Writing your goals down makes them a focus point. It makes sure that everything you're doing in life becomes aligned with those areas. We have to make sure that what you want and what you're thinking about, what you say and what you do are in line. That's how we create harmony in our lives. I really hope this has been relevant for your goal setting. I really look forward to seeing your goals and seeing you achieve them this year. I really want you to get involved in this conversation and this dialogue as we think out loud together about our minds in this world. So please join and subscribe today. Look forward to you joining me.
Okay, good. So, useful stuff. What's the takeaways? There's a few in there. There's a few great ones, right? What's your takeaways? Yeah.
Build tangible goals and specific goals as opposed to broad, intangible ones.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Be specific with what you want to do, right? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But you really want to say, this is what I'm going to accomplish, right? If you make vague goals, you will get there because you won't know where there is. So anywhere you are is there, right? So yeah, really hone in. Make shorter term goals, right? Shorter term, longer term, right? You can have a 20-year letter that you've written to yourself. That's great. You can have a long-term goal. Where am I going to be in 20 years from now? But we also need the small tangible goals. What are we going to accomplish this week? What are we going to accomplish this month? What are we going to accomplish this year, right? I think one of the more powerful things out of there is the Bill Gates saying, right? People overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5. And we see it all the time in this business, right? You get into the business, you're gung-ho, you're ready to rock and roll. I mean, Sam's right here, right? First month on the job, right? At the end of the day, Sam might sell 50 houses this year. I have no idea, right? Sam's potential is unknown. But more likely, Sam's not going to sell 50 houses this year, and that's okay, right? He's going to build up. So what he does this year doesn't necessarily have any impact on what's going to happen the second and the third and the fourth year, right? What else? What are other takeaways out of there?
Write it down and put it in front of you.
Write it down. What was the case study that he referred to? Anybody remember what they said?
The 3% one?
The 3%. What was it that he said?
Is it 3% ended up making all of 97% combined?
The 3% that wrote their goals down made more than the other 97 combined. That's fascinating. It's not true. It's total bunk. That study's not real. He's using it, I don't know, because he doesn't know that it's not real. But it's not real. Actually, that study is used. There's another one very similar that is used by folks that do motivational speaking and talk about different things and goal setting and planning and things of that nature, right? It sounds great, but it never actually happened. It's not real. Why in the world would I show you a video that a good portion of it talks about something that's not real?
To show that we need to be real.
To show that we need to be real. Yeah, let's get real for a second, okay? Is writing your goals down important?
Yes.
Yes! Oh my word, it's very important, right? If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there, right? Absolutely. People that successfully achieve their goals, write their goals down, and they look at their goals daily. Some people every morning, this is a great practice, write down, I sell 20 houses a year. I make $20,000 a month. This is their mantra, right? They know what their goals are, they know where they're going, they know what they're trying to accomplish. Writing your goals down is extremely important. What's the fatal flaw of the story of that study that never happened? Why do we know that that's not real? Even though you didn't know it, think about it objectively. Why is it not real? Really?
Just writing them down doesn't gonna automatically make you do that.
Sam is my man. Yes, Sam. Are you kidding me? Okay? So if we all write down a goal today, and we make no action, are we going to achieve our goal? No. Of course not. If we had 1,000 people, how many were in the study? I don't remember. If we had that many people here and 3% of them wrote their goals down, would those people really truly make 97% more than everybody else just because they wrote it down? No, of course not. Of course not. So what we can get really caught up in is we're going to do a business plan. We're going to write out a business plan, right? We'll be like, yeah, we wrote it down. But if you don't look at it again until this time next year, what good did it do you? Right? Maybe it gave you an idea, and maybe that's going to stick with you periodically throughout the year. But we're creatures of habit, and we need to create the habit of seeing where we're going and seeing what those goals are and remembering this is where I want to go, this is what I need to do, right? And we'll talk about that in your daily schedules and things like that here coming up. But I think it's really, really important to understand writing down your goals, wildly important. Referring back to your goals, even more important. But just writing down goals is not going to help you succeed in your goals. It just sounds really good for a guy in front of a huge audience, right? Oh, I'm going to write my goals down, great. And everybody leaves thinking that they're going to, and by the next year, most people don't hit their goals because all they did was write them down, okay? Don't fall into that, yeah? Okay, let's, anything else that anybody wants to share that they pull out of that? No? I think the other big thing that you will find in that is really helpful and useful, and we know it, but do we always act on it, is are we surrounding ourselves with the people that are going to help us get to where we're going, right? At the end of the day, are we spending too much time by ourselves at home? Or are we surrounding ourselves with people that have high energy, high integrity, and that also, like us, have goals to succeed and to really push and prod and stretch ourselves to get to where we are going? If you surround yourselves with people like you that want to succeed, your chance for growth is huge. If you alienate yourself and you stay away from people that are successful and do the things that you want to do, well, you're not going to be able to feed from that energy and that excitement and that knowledge and the things that you get from that. This is why coming into the office is so important. I'm not going to get on a soapbox about coming into the office, but this is why it's important, right? And conversely, if we surround ourselves with people that are negative, if the people around you are negative all the time, what is that going to do to you? Right? If I'm around people all the time that talk, oh my gosh, oh, what's going on in the market? Oh, the market's shifting. Oh my goodness, right? And it's this negative thing. Well, how am I going to sound when I talk to people that I meet? I'm going to sound negative. It's going to come out in me because that's what I am feeding into myself, right? So if I'm around a meat and a meat's negative all the time, what's that doing for me? I mean, literally, that will kill your spirit. It will kill your energy. It will kill your ability to look at a situation and find where the value is, right, for yourselves. Because you're already just thinking, hey, oh gosh, it's negative, right? Well, before it was negative because, oh my goodness, it's a seller's market. My buyers can never get anything and everything else. And yet, what? Tons and tons of houses were selling and lots of people were making lots of money, right? But if you're around the people that think negatively, you will think negatively, and this will not work for you. Yeah?
I do want to add to that because one thing I heard a long time ago, and I practice it all the time, is if you want to know where you're going, especially when things are down, like when you're trying to figure out what you want with your life, if you want to know where you're going, look at the 6 people you hang out with and see where they're at. Because if they're no further along than you, or maybe below where you want to be, then that's where you're going. Because you are actually the embodiment of the people you hang out with regularly. So that's exactly what Tay's saying.
I like that.
Yeah, so if you want to know where you're going, look at the 6 people. In that video, he said, make sure that 1 or 2 of them are people that already had that success.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that means here, but you know, like if you're having a mentor, like I mentor people, you
Sure.
know, it's like hang with someone that's already had some success, you know.
Absolutely.
And maybe you'll get to learn that. But that's important because you want to know where you're going. You think everybody's your friends, and you're like, wait a minute. Man, I'm kind of hanging with some losers, you know, like not in a bad way, but you're like, yeah, these guys are doing all this stuff, and I had to change house myself.
Sure,
personally.
sure.
But you don't realize it until you make that choice to actually say, who are the 6 people that I connect with or hang out with regularly? Where are they at in their life?
Absolutely.
That's where you're
Absolutely.
going.
Be discerning, right? Be discerning. Are the people that I'm around, I love that. Look at your 6 closest friends. Look at the 6 people that you're around the most. Where are they? And if they're not where you want to go, or they're not doing the things you want to do to go, then you're probably hanging around with the wrong people. Absolutely. It is huge. Huge, huge, huge. I haven't met one person that has said to me, gosh, I started coming in the office more, and man, my energy is down and I hate the business more, and I do less, and it's really been a negative on me, right? No. It doesn't work that way. So, okay, let's open up our business plans real quick. We take a look at the first page there. Like I said, your stats are going to be in your mailboxes, okay? Whether you're in Burien or West Seattle, it'll be a little bit later today for West Seattle, probably tomorrow for Burien. But your year-to-date sales, as of about 2 weeks ago is when I got the reports, will be in your boxes so that you can more accurately fill out this first page, okay? I do want to go over one part of this first page with you today, this morning, and that is the very first question, okay? What's the very first question? So you read it for me, Tanya?
What is your desired income in the next 12 months?
What is your desired income in the next 12 months, okay? You may or may not be able to write that down right now. You may really want to put some thought into that, right? You may want to really assess, okay, well, what are my expectation level, what's the average sale price, and things of that nature, okay? Let me recommend a couple things. One, $100,000 is probably not your answer. It probably isn't. Now, for some of us, it might be, because that might just be right where we think we want to be, right? We've made $30,000 or $40,000, now we want to get to $100,000, right? So that might be where you're at. But $100,000 is too easy a number to just write in, right? Be specific. Be intentional when we're deciding where we want to go. What I would also like you to do is next to where you put your desired income, I would really like you and challenge you to think of how many transactions do I want to do? Okay? How many transactions do I want to close? I think for most of us that's the more relevant question, right? Can't always decide what the commission is going to be on every sale that we make, right? We may sell a $200,000 condo, we may sell an $800,000 house, right? We don't necessarily know that. But I think one thing that this industry, in the last, since the uptick of the market, I think we have lost sight of transactions and only focused on dollars. And that's a dangerous, dangerous thing to do. Why is it dangerous?
Complacency.
Complacency, 100%. Complacency. If I can sell 1/3 the houses and make the same money that I wanted to make in a great market, I'm done, man. Kick them up, right? I made my money. Okay, but what's the problem with that? If you make 1/3 of the transactions, it means you're making 1/3 of the referral sources going forward. And as the market levels out like it is right now, and if anybody saw the talk about the HQ2, right? They split it in 2 different places. That helps us even less, that it's in 2 places rather than 1, right? And there are a lot of models out there that say, hey, our market is going to shift to a buyer's market here fairly quickly, by 2020 most likely. Because some of those people are going to move to HQ2s, one of the other 2 for Amazon, right? And so we're going to have a situation where we're going to have more houses hit the market because people are going to go back to where they're closer to home or, east side of the country. All those things, right? And is that a scary thing? No. Is it an opportunity? Heck yeah, it is, right? Again, it depends who you surround yourself with, right? There's money to be made in every market. There's money to be made in every market, yeah?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, Bruce has seen a lot of markets, yeah? And there's no question, anybody that's been in this business for a long time will tell you there is money in every single market, okay? But if I spend all of my time worrying about a dollar amount, maybe that's healthy, maybe that's how you're motivated, and that's okay, I'm not telling you not to do it. But what I am saying is that you really want to focus, in my opinion, on the number of transactions you want to do. Because it's the number of transactions that's going to give you the referrals and the lead sources for you to go and get the touches that you need in a more stable market in order to get the clientele you need to hit the dollars you want, right? Or to grow your business. Why sell yourself short, right? And I think a dollar amount for most of us sells ourselves short of what we can really accomplish because the commissions are so high these days. Justifiably so, we do great work, but at the end of the day, how many properties do you want to sell in a year? Not how much money do you want to make, right? When I started my first year, I think I made $64,000. I don't know how many houses I had to sell, but it's a heck of a lot more houses than I have to sell today. Yeah, I mean, you could make $64,000 and sell 4 houses right now. That's not unreasonable. That's not only is that not unreasonable, I mean, you could do it in 2 houses, right? So at the end of the day, you need sales to be able to get the touches. At any rate, so I'm gonna ask that you fill that out on your own time, but really put a lot of thought into that first page. Okay, so we talked at the beginning. We talked about, hey, these are the things that I'm really good at. I'm really good at this. I'm pretty good at this. And I'm not good at this this last thing. And where to put our time and energy, right? The next part of this business development plan, this business plan, is the lead generation activities page, right? Looks like that. It's actually a 2-page part. You'll see there's actually 5 activities that we have here, okay? And on the next page, it has activity 4 and 5, and then it has sample activities. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. I don't believe that this is necessarily going to be the same for everyone. I don't believe that necessarily everyone should have 5 lead generation activities, either. I don't. Now, I don't believe necessarily that people shouldn't have 5. I do think if you have more than 5, you probably are spreading yourself a little thin. Okay. Jack of all trades, master of none. Right? We've heard this saying before. Can we fall into that? Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Does that mean that we need to put all of our eggs in one basket? No. No, probably not. But does it mean that we want to put a good chunk of our eggs in one basket? I think so. I really think so. And if you really want to build your business, I think that that's where you want to go with this, right? So I explained in Success Start that, hey, when we were talking about lead generation, my sales manager, Birian, and I, we came up with a list and it was not very inspiring and I didn't like it and I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm letting my people down. And so I started making phone calls to people in my office that had been very successful. And I said, where did the money come from the first 2 years? Where did you get paid? How did you get your sales your first 2 years? And then I called people in the West Seattle office, right? I was in the Burien office at the time, but I knew a lot of people here, and I called a bunch of people here and I asked the same question. And then I called people from other companies that I knew, that I was good friends with, that I had good working relationships with, and I asked them all that question: where'd the money come from? I talked to a very large number of people, dozens of people, and they all said the exact same thing. How is that possible? They didn't say the same activity, but they did say the same thing, and what they said is, first of all, they got excited. They're reminiscing. They're feeling good about what they did, right? How they got to where they are. They feel good about that. They feel proud about it. And then they tell me, I did this one thing really, really well. I got some sales maybe here and there, but one thing, I kicked rear end at this. I spent a lot of my time, I was the best at this in our area, where I was really, really good. Their confidence just comes out, right? They picked one thing and they became an expert at that. And now they work more around their business. So for some of you, you're brand new, Sam, I'm not gonna have you do 5 things that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Let's find 1 or 2 things that you're really good at and let's focus on those and get those built up. And then we can add things to it, right? That maybe doesn't make sense. Now for Bruce, he's got all kinds of things that he's really good at, right? You've been doing this a long time, so you have the ability to go, okay, hey, here's what I'm good at, and then I need to kind of add, right? It's not quite enough for me anymore. I really need to add something here. I need to add something there, right? Without it taking away from what I'm really good at already, right? At the end of the day, you got to figure out what is it that you are going to be a rock star at. For me, I did 20 hours of open houses for 3.5 years. That's how I built my business, right? A lot of you have heard this story, right? That's a grind. That is hard to do. But I guarantee you, if you came into my open house, I felt like I ruled the world. I knew everything you were going to ask. I knew everything I needed to know. I felt I was in my space. And if you were going to come into my open house, or you were going to come into Joe Schmo's open house, who does an open house once a month or twice a month, right? Like a lot of us do. If you're going to come into both of our open houses, guess who you're leaving with, right? You're leaving the dance with me, right? Because I know what I'm doing. I do this 20 hours a week. This is me, right? Find the thing that is you, and then really rock that thing. Okay, so with that being said, what I will recommend that you do, if you're a newer agent, I would really recommend that you put 1 item, okay, that you're really going to focus on, and 2 supporting items. Now that newer agent, it could be, in the business for 1 year, 2 years, right? That's still okay. If you don't feel like you've mastered something, or you feel like, hey, I could really do that, that would be great. Go for it, right? Put that on there, get 1, and then maybe a couple of things that are supporting. All right? These would be great things to have conversations with your sales managers about, right? What am I going to do? How am I going to build my business, right? What's the thing that really I'm passionate about, right? Don't do the thing you hate. Cold calling can be wildly effective. If you don't want to make cold calls, you will not be wildly effective at cold calling. Don't choose that. It doesn't make sense, right? Exactly. That's the one thing that you're not good at, or something along those lines. Don't do that. Pick the things that you're going to excel at. If you've been in the business for a long time, you may have a couple of things. Amit and Russ and Bruce, you may have things already that you're like, hey, I'm really good at this, and that's the focus of my business. Right on. Well, that's probably going to be, your number 1 thing, right? That's going to be your pillar, right? Or one of your main pillars. But now you maybe want to add a couple of things, and so maybe 5 items is going to be what you need. From there, you have supporting activities. Be specific in your supporting activities. Don't just say, I'm going to do an open house and then I'm going to do, pre-open house lead generation. Right? That's great. That's phenomenal. Do pre-open house lead generation. Go door knocking. But be specific. I'm going to knock 12 doors every time I do an open house before the open house. Now that's specific, right? I'm going to mail, I'm going to this, I'm going to that, I'm going to post to Facebook, I'm going to, whatever it is that you're going to do, be very, very specific. If you're broad, then, again, who cares? You throw a dart at a dartboard and you hit it anywhere on the dartboard, winner, right? Not exactly, right? Sure, you hit the dartboard, but you didn't give yourself a space to feel like, hey, I accomplished really what I wanted to accomplish. I didn't win that situation. Does anybody have any questions on that? Yes.
Can you, I don't know if you've done it before, but could you outline one for us, like activity 1? What would your maybe open house?
Sure. Let's do open houses. Sure. Okay. Sure. So open houses. What are your activities going to be? Well, clearly it's going to be procuring open houses. right?
Right.
That's going to be one of your activities. You got to find, how am I going to get good open houses? How am I going to vet which open houses are the best for me, right? So you're going to create, if this is going to be one of your pillars, you're going to create a system where you're like, hey, these are the kinds of open houses I do, these are the kinds of open houses I don't do. Yeah? And then how do I get these open houses? It might even involve talking to veteran agents and saying, hey, I'm your guy, I'm your gal, right? I do all of your open houses from here on out. We're together, right? Yeah, sure, that it might be that. It might be something more than that. It might be something different, but I want to set up for them, right?
So the first thing would be, if you had to choose an action step like this we were talking about.
Yeah, your action step would be securing or getting an open house, right? That's an action step, right?
Finding that.
This is a map for doing what it is that you're going to be doing for your lead generation. I got to find the open house, right? I got to do flyers for the open house, flyers / marketing materials. If you want to talk with your home services lender, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, they'll do very nicely co-branded things that will give people ideas and interest rates, and if the interest rate goes up this much at this price and things of that nature. I don't believe in having a whole lot of things to hand out at open houses. If you've been to my open house class, I really, really don't, but something like that could be highly effective and valuable, okay? So what are you gonna bring there, right? You may want to scope the property out. You may want to put on there that you're going to door knock, right? I'm going to go and door knock the day before and leave a little card at everybody's door that doesn't answer, saying, hey, I'm going to be here from this time to this time to this time, right? So you can continue to go through, and what else are you going to do? Including, I think that you probably want on your list something to the effect of, this is how I'm going to successfully get leads. How am I going to successfully get contact information? Whether it's a sign-up sheet, which I'm not a huge fan of, or if it's using other techniques that I am a huge fan of. You want to know about what I think about open houses, you can go to YouTube and put in Tay Krull, Berkshire Hathaway. My open house class will pop up and you can watch that. And you can learn a lot about verbal items of value and ways that you can get people from not wanting anything to do with you to feeling that they need you by the end of the open house. We won't go too far into that. So I hope that helps. Also on this step, I really want to point out one thing that I think is also important. For a lot of us that have been in the business for a long time, and we do, this many sales, and we're like, hey, I really want to get up here. I really want to take it to the next step. What should I do though? I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and gosh, there's some other things I could do, but I don't really feel that confident in that. I really suggest and urge you to think back to what made you the money when you started. I am an absolute believer that the majority of veteran agents in this business, if they would like to double their business next year, they need to look no further than going back and doing what they did when they started their business. Because they were good at it. They are good at it, right? And for some of us, we've continued to do that, and that's great. That's not going to work for you. But for a lot of us, I think that we can think back and go, oh my goodness, I'm not doing the grind of 20 hours a week in open houses, right? Or whatever it is for me. Can you think of the things that you did when you started as an agent? If I did 20 hours of open houses a week now, how much more successful I could be now than when I was in the business for the first 2 or 3 years and I really didn't know all that much about the business, right? I became really good at open houses, but how great was I really, right? How much experience could I say that I had? But now if I did those same open houses, what would the results be? Probably a lot better. And even if they weren't even a lot better, if they were just the same, you probably would double your income because the price of the houses have gone up so significantly, right? So at the end of the day, it's a very good possibility that if you want to really boost your income and you've been in the business for a long time, that going back to what you started at, going back to what your basics are, is going to be the first step for you to do that. Maybe the easiest thing and the thing that you might like the most, enjoy the most. So, all right, let's go to the next page here. Areas of growth and improvement. Okay, so now here's where we may want to tackle some of those things. Maybe we do want to tackle that thing, number 5, that we're really not good at. Maybe we're not going to tackle it in that we're going to go all in on that, right? If technology is what I'm not good at, I'm not going to be like, well, every day I'm going to come into the office and spend 4 hours a day on technology, right? But what I might do is say, hey, technology is an issue for me. I want to learn these 2 things, right? Small steps over time will give you great value. Trying to make too big a step on day 1 is just going to land you right back in the gutter. Yeah? So we all know this from life. It also might be that, hey, maybe it's something that we just don't even want to get good at. So maybe our goal is to improve this in our business, but maybe it's not to improve it by ourselves. Maybe it's to improve it by hiring somebody else to do it for us, right? Or creating a relationship or a system that works for us with a company or with somebody in it, right? If we're terrible at turning our paperwork in, then
Wow.
I can do that with a meat. I can do that with a meat, right? I can. But it's okay, right? I'm terrible at technology. A meat's not great at getting this paperwork in. That's just who we are, right? That's okay. Know your faults. It's okay. I wouldn't have done that if I didn't know a meat could take it. Gosh, the room's like, oh my gosh, Dave. A meat just signed his license off right there. No, we're good. We're good. But what can you do, right? If this is not something that you're wired to do, if it's not something that you enjoy doing, if it's something that, find somebody to help you with that, right? Find workarounds for the things you know you need to accomplish, but that that's maybe not your strength, right? What are some other things that you can put in here? I would recommend putting in here different tasks that you want to, if your database is not in good shape, boom, database, right? I need to get my SOI back up and running. But don't just say I got to put my SOI back up and running this year. When are you going to actually do that then, right? Put a date, SOI, by January 25th. Done, right? Be serious. Be specific and be intentional. Everything we do in this business, we should do with intention. We should know why we're doing what we're doing, yeah? If we go to the next page, this is the business plan schedule, weekly schedule. Okay, looks like this. At the top, or in the morning, it says working on the business, and in the afternoon it says working in the business. Why? What is the difference? What is working on the business versus working in the business? John?
Working on the business is like planning ahead, creating structure for your business moving forward, and in the business is doing like busy work.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Okay, so kind of, yeah. Okay, so the concept is there, right? In the working on the business is how are you going to build your business, right? What are the activities that you're doing to build your business? What's the number one thing that is involved in working on the business? What's the number one thing you should be spending? If you're spending time working on the business, what is it specifically you should be doing? Not the task, but the general lead generation, right? Highly successful people spend 2 to 3 hours a day in lead generation. That's not getting ready for lead generation, right? That's not getting loaded up and putting the signs out and everything else for an open house. That's in the open house, right? That's actual time spent doing activity that will bring you potential leads, yeah? That will get you the touches you need for the leads. Okay, that's working on the business. Creating your database, working on your website, that's working on your business, yeah? Working in the business is working with clients, setting appointments, right? Making offers, showing houses, listing properties, things of that nature. That's working in the business, okay? Why is it set up for working on the business in the morning and working in the business in the afternoon and evening? Why is that? This is intentional. Why? Why is it set this way?
More focus and energy in the morning.
More focus and energy in the morning. It is scientifically proven that we are not all made the same. We don't all have more energy and focus in the morning, although most of us do. Most of us do, but not everyone. My wife, I love her. She is a living testament to that. She doesn't get going until 11 o'clock at night when I'm like out, right? The majority of us, though, do. The majority of us have more energy and focus in the morning. Why else? Anybody ever had a day when things just got out of control? Well, when do they get out of control? Not generally when you step out of bed. Not generally when you walk in the office for the first moment. It's generally as the day progresses, right? And generally working on the business might not be as fun for us as working in the business. Is it more fun to go to coffee with somebody and talk to them about selling their house? Or is it more fun to make calls to expireds, right? What are we more motivated to do? So guess what? If we do this stuff, if we do that stuff early, and I'm not saying you can't do that stuff early. Of course, the coffee appointments, there's things that are going to happen in the morning. But the majority of our mornings really should be spent on working on the business, doing the lead generation, the things of that nature. You get caught up in a whirlwind and all of a sudden, oh gosh, now I don't have time to do the lead generation. Well, guess what? That will continue to roll, right? You can see it in your own businesses. It's easy, right? It's so simple to get in that pattern. And next thing you know, you've gone a day, a week, a month, and you go back and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I haven't done any lead generation in 3 months. Or not any real consequential lead generation. I did a couple open houses, great. But was I deliberately day in, day out doing lead gen? No, I wasn't. Why? Because you were waiting. Another reason that waiting doesn't work, right? Well, we talked a little bit, I brushed on it in a minute, but as the day goes on, things can happen, right? If I get a phone call at 1 o'clock and a deal is falling apart, and I haven't done my lead generation phone calls, how do you think those calls are going to sound? Right? How are you going to have the same energy? How are you going to have the same positivity? How are you going to bring your A game, right? So in general, you want to do your working on the business in the morning and you're in the business in the afternoons and evenings. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions on that? Makes sense, right? Makes sense. It's intuitive. We just got to do it. The next page is one that I've added. Okay? This page looks like this. It'll be separate in the email that goes out to all of the office. So they'll have 3 attachments. This is where this attachment will go. This is not a company supplied item. But it is in here more as an example, and you can definitely jot some things in, but more as an example to remember, okay, look, what is one of the most important things that we can be doing to help ourselves succeed? And that is daily planning. If you don't know what you are going to do next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, when you get to next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, you will not be doing something that you should be doing, right? You'll be doing something else. I don't know what that is. You don't know what that is. But the point is you should know what that is that you're going to be doing next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, right? It is wildly important. People that are most successful at this business have schedules that they hold themselves to, okay? Now, if we put in here and we go, hey, all right, how do I even start filling this out? It's a huge blank thing for an entire week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Oh my good gosh, right? Well, first of all, we're going to go through and we're going to cross out anything. If you don't answer your phone after 9 p.m., then cross it off, okay? I don't necessarily subscribe to that. There's different philosophies on how you should handle your time and when you answer the phone and when you don't. All I know is 2 things. 1, you need time for yourself. You need family time. You need time to recharge. You need that. The other thing that I know, though, is that we live in an instant gratification world. And if your client calls you and you're not available, guess what they might do? Call the next person, right? So we have to figure this out in a way, and I'm not going to tell you today what I think is right for you, right? But you have to decide for yourself how much of what and when. But put it down. I take my kids to school every single morning, at 8:30 to 9, I'm just not available. Boom, put it in, right? I go to yoga every morning at this time, or I do my workout every day at this time. Whatever it is that you do that you can't change or won't change, great, put it in. Next, put in your meetings. Business development meetings on Wednesday mornings, right here in West Seattle, right? New crew meetings in Burien on Monday mornings, put it in. 9:30 to 10:30 on Monday mornings, right? Sales meetings, put them in. Now, your weekly schedule should change week to week, but not everything will change. Most of it will stay the same, right? But you'll have a class, you'll put it in. Put it in for the week in advance. I tell everybody at the sales meetings well in advance what's happening, and our monthly calendars go out well in advance, right? So we know about things before they come up. We can set our schedule. If we're not setting our calendars, I guarantee you that you will start to have practical drift. What's practical drift? Practical drift. If you set yourself on a course, over time, you will drift. It will happen. You will move off of the line that you've created or want for yourself, right? And so we want to have the least amount of practical drift that we possibly can, right? So we have to have mechanisms that help bring us back to center, right? And so setting a time in your schedule each week to write your schedule for the following week, right? That will help us stay away from practical drift. If we don't do that, if we don't schedule in that time to set our schedule for the following week, right, then what are we going to do? We're going to get to that week and we're not going to have a schedule. We're going to get caught up in the whirlwind on Monday, and next thing you know, it's Friday and nothing's happened. Okay? This will happen. That is practical drift. Unless you set yourself up with ways to do it. We have an interesting business, right? We're independent contractors. There's nobody here to tell me what I can and can't do. There's nobody here to tell. I'm not going to tell you, hey, I haven't seen you in 3 days. Right? I don't know. Maybe you've been working. Maybe you haven't been working. I don't know. That's not up to me, right? To determine for you. You have to put things in your schedule. You have to set up mechanisms to do that. For new agents, you have your sales managers, right? That you can set up weekly meetings with. That will help you keep from drifting. But for veteran agents, set it up with me. Set it up with the sales manager. Set it up with a peer. Do what you need to do to keep yourself going straight. So at any rate, that is the thing for the schedule. Now the next page is a page that says menu for success. Right? It looks like this. Menu for success. Some of you have also seen something similar to this. It's a 5-5-5-5 sheet, right? 5 calls, 5 texts, 5 note cards, 5 days a week, right? The idea behind this, and you can even find other ones online. The idea behind this page, these activities is, hey, if you do these activities, you cross it off and you give yourself a credit in a number of points, and you want to get X number of points, 30 points on this example, a day, right? So you want to go through and do whatever activities you need to do here to get 30 points every single day. The value of this is to keep you from practical drift. The value of this is to keep you centered every day and to give you tasks for you to do, right? If you had a regular 9-to-5 job, you'd have somebody looking over your shoulder saying, hey, have you completed those tasks that I asked you to do? Right? That's the reality of the situation in a 9-to-5. You don't work a 9-to-5, but if you don't treat this like a real job, you won't make real money, so you got to find a way to do this for yourself. And mechanisms like this have high value in that capacity. Because if you keep yourself accountable to the list or to hitting your number every single day, you're relying on yourself. But if you hit that every single day, you will guarantee that you're doing enough lead generation activities to get the touches that you need, to get the leads you need to convert into the sales that you put on that first page that you want to do in the next year. Make sense? I highly recommend, I think a very valuable way to do this, find a peer in the office. Look at the person next to you and say, hey, are you interested in this? Do you want to keep each other accountable for it? Can we check in once a week? Did you do did you do it every single day last week? Whatever it is. The 5-5-5 sheet. I had some folks tell me, hey, that's too much. 5-5-5 every single day. That I don't have enough people to call, whatever it is. Well, a couple things. One, you need to push and pull and stretch yourself. You need to get there. But until you're there, can you put 3-2-2-5? Right? 3 calls, 3 postcards, 2 cold calls, whatever it is that is on the list, 5 days a week. Can you do that? Well, sure, then cross it off at the top, the 5-5-5, and write down what you're going to do that week, and then hold yourself to it. You don't go home on Friday until you've done what your boss told you needed to complete that week, and your boss is you, right? So that's the value behind this page and the idea there. I think that it's highly effective. And I think that you can utilize this page. You could go to this page and go, well, what are the things on here that I really have a passion to do? And maybe that actually will go back and give you clarity on some of the pillars that you might want to put as your lead generation pillars, right? How are you going to build your business? Well, gosh, I like doing handwritten notes. Okay, cool. Well, handwritten notes probably fall under your SOI, right? It might fall under working your SOI. So working your SOI might be one of your pillars. And handwritten notes might be one of those activities under that pillar, right? Does that make sense? Kind of bringing it together? Cool. The last page that you have, it looks like this. This is a sample expense report, okay? Yearly budget. The reason that I put this in here, this is not something that comes with the packet from the company, but the reason that I put it in is because I think it's important to have some kind of an idea of, hey, what are my expenses? Or what are things that I could be expensing out or planning for as expenses through the year? The dollar amounts that are there are irrelevant, okay? They don't necessarily apply to you at all. But as you go through, you go, oh yeah, well, I should budget for my cell phone. And oh yeah, I should budget for health insurance and marketing. How much money do I want to put out of each check towards marketing, right? So again, you really want, in everything that you do in this business, including especially making your business plan, but definitely in making your budget, is to be very, very specific, right? Very intentional with what you're trying to accomplish. Now, if you put dollar amounts in there, my recommendation is that when you get a paycheck, that you take that paycheck and you split it out into different things. If you're going to put money into marketing, maybe you make a bank account for marketing, right? Maybe you have a savings account that you just use for marketing, and every time you get a paycheck, you put 15% into marketing, right? So you have that money to use when you need it. That's up to you. Everybody handles their money a little bit differently, and I'm available to spend more time one-on-one talking with you about different techniques and ways to do that. But when you get the money, you want to be putting it and allocating specific amounts of that towards certain things to help you grow your business.
Do you have this for us? Is just an email, you can email it?
Yeah, this form will come in an email.
Perfect.
Yep, this will come in an email as attachment. So everyone will actually get, everybody in both offices will get the business plan and then this attachment and the weekly schedule planner. Again, the weekly schedule planner, I'm not suspecting that that's really what everybody's going to use, that page specifically, although you could. But it's just there as a place set just to remember, hey, this is something that we want to do going forward. Does anybody have any questions about anything in there? Okay, I'd like to wrap up just simply by saying this. Berkshire Hathaway has spent over the years incredible amounts of money bringing people in to teach this class. They bring gurus in that come in and they talk about how they sold 150 houses when they were 12 years old, right? And how their team sells 800 houses last year, things of that nature. Things that maybe don't really identify with what we're doing, right? And they have business plans that are this thick, okay? I've been with this company for 16, 17 years now, okay? How many business plans do I have that are like this that I've never looked at again? We made a conscious decision to change the direction in how we teach business planning, how we look at business planning, and how we interact with the agents about how to use the business plan throughout the year, okay? I believe full-heartedly that what you have in front of you is a very basic business plan. This is nothing amazing, this is, or wrong term, this is nothing that is too far in depth, okay? This is something that you can and should use on a weekly, for sure monthly basis, to go back and say, am I aligned with what it is that I put in my business plan? Am I aligned, are my tasks, are the things that I'm spending my time on aligned with what I said I wanted my pillars to be, right? Or have I started to drift? And then we can pull ourselves back. This is not something to file away. This is not something to forget about. This is a tool to use through the year. Otherwise, a business plan is really just one session right here today, writing some things down that you're not going to remember what you did last year. It's going to have no value at all. And that's what most of these sessions are. I believe that this gives you the ability, I believe what we've done this morning and what you're going to do finishing off and really taking time to go through and fill out your business plan will give you something that should be of value throughout the year, right? Failing to plan is planning to fail, 100%. Well, there's a million of those, right? But I mean, how could it be any more true? So, at any rate, I want to thank everybody for coming this morning. I really, really appreciate it. And if you've got questions, you need help with your business plans, me, Nalani, Russ, whoever the sales manager is in your space, please reach out to them, talk with them, let's sit down and go over whatever it is that you have questions about. Gosh, let's make a lot of money in 2019. All right, thanks guys.